Okay, and we are now on day 2 of the 10-day Rock Your Goddess masterclass. So we've done day 1, introduction and energy, and today we're going to be looking at developing awareness and identifying key emotions. So this day is split into 2 parts. So the first part being developing our awareness. Okay, so don't forget that you've got your workbook. You can already start to jot down notes as we go through this day, or you can just simply complete the task at the end of today's teaching. So part 1, we're going to be talking a little bit about thoughts. Dr. Emoto, the very famous Japanese scientist, and his work. And just recapping on the fact that our thoughts have an energy that impacts on other people, and the energy vampires, which sounds quite exciting. So first of all, I think a fact that we need to be aware of, and a fact that has been proven by science, is that we have between 50,000 and 70,000 thoughts per day, which is a phenomenal amount, as you'll agree. And remember that, they reckon about 70% of these thoughts are of a more negative tendency. So that's quite a huge fact to understand, and it really, really makes you think, doesn't it, that because we know our thoughts and our feelings carry an energy, and that about 70% of these tend to be negative for the average person, it's something that we really, really need to look at. So the fact that our thoughts and our feelings impact on our physical bodies, our environment, and the people within our environment, has been proven by science. And this is where Dr. Emoto and his work come in. So I'll just go to the next slide to show you that this guy here is Dr. Emoto, very famous Japanese scientist who did a lot of work around the power of our thoughts and our feelings and how they impact on water. He was really, really interested in this concept of the power of our thoughts and feelings. And what he did was he did many, many experiments, one of them being that he got huge groups of people in a room, and within the room there were these big bowls of water, and he trained these people to meditate on certain thoughts and feelings. He trained them to bring these feelings within themselves and these thoughts. And before he did that, he took magnified photos of the water. So what you see before you in the second photo are these magnified images that he took of the water before the people started to meditate on positive things like truth, wisdom, thank you, gratitude, love, peace. And then he'd get them to meditate. So he'd taken the imagery of the water. Then you get them to meditate and bring in these feelings and thoughts, these positive feelings and thoughts. Then afterwards, he would do the same thing. He would take images of the water, and then there you can see the positive imagery. So the thank yous, the wisdoms, they look like snowflakes. They're like beautiful structures, aren't they? But then he asked the people to do the same thing. So he went through the same process, but they focused on negative thoughts and feelings like evil, you make me sick, you fall, all these sorts of things. And then again took the imagery, and you can see the difference is incredible. Now this is really key to us understanding that our thoughts and our feelings absolutely have an effect on our physical bodies and on those around us. And when we see the physical proof, we understand how important it is to start to really look at our thoughts and our feelings and start to change them. Okay, so that's Dr. Emoto and his work. And we've also covered the fact that our thoughts and our feelings are even more powerful than our thoughts, and these have an energy that impacts on other people, and we have seen how that does that. So it's our own thoughts will be impacting on our bodies. And remember, we're made of about 70% water. So when we see that our negativity is impacting our physical bodies, that's huge. Okay, Now, the other thing that I wanted to tell you about was energy vampires. Now, I call it this, and it's not me that's coined this phrase, but you know, when you are not feeling in a good place, do not, you know, choose, if you possibly can, not to spend too much time or no time at all with people that are the downers, you know, the ones that are very negative by nature, because it will not help you. Their negative energy will be impacting on you. You've seen the physical proof of how this is happening. But also, because you're not in a good place, your energy is going to affect them as well. So if you possibly can, especially when you're not in a good place, do not choose to spend time with these people, because you're really not going to be helping each other, okay? So that's part 1 of our day 2 training. So, you know, just take time to absorb all of this. You may want to make notes in your workbook and just fill in the spaces where you can. And remember that you will have a task at the end to kind of gather your thoughts around this and just help to kind of solidify and consolidate the teaching from today. Okay, so, you know, you can go away and research Dr. Emoto as well if you want. It's really, really fascinating, his research that he's carried out. And I know he's worked on like big bodies of water as well, not just in rooms full of people. Okay, so part 2 of day 2 is identifying key emotions. Now, here you're going to have specific tasks to carry out. Okay, so in order to develop awareness of our inner emotional landscape, as I like to call it, you know, you're going to have to start developing this awareness, because I have clients that come to me and they are just so detached from how they're thinking and feeling that any sort of type of work, you know, when they first start to come and see me, any of this type of work is just really difficult for them. So we have to start developing our own awareness of our own inner emotional landscape. So the first thing that you can do, and a really, really simple thing, is throughout the day, whenever you start to think like this, and I'm not just talking about today, I'm talking about the days ahead, obviously, because we've seen that we have to, you know, start to work in this way. It's an everyday effort. But what I want you to do from now on, whenever you think about this, is ask yourself the question, how am I feeling? So just say you've been triggered by something, someone said something to you, or you've seen something on television, or, you know, anything like that, or, you know, a certain situation. Ask yourself the question, how am I feeling? But we're not just going to stop there. You're going to then name that feeling out loud. So you can start with, I am feeling blah, you know, I am feeling angry, or I'm feeling a bit frustrated, or I'm feeling a bit sad, or I'm feeling really excited. It could be a positive feeling. It doesn't have to be necessarily something negative, but name it out loud. And if you can do that, you know, maybe if you're not around near anyone, you know, even, you know, saying it out loud already starts to create that gap between you, your true or your higher self, as I like to call it, and your thoughts and your feelings. It's about creating that gap, and that allows that detachment already. So this is a really good practice to start getting into. Let's just start with those baby steps. You know, know that you are already breaking that cycle of negativity. Okay, it's the very first tiny step towards breaking that cycle of negativity. Okay, so anytime you think of something, or, you know, negative, or you're aware that you're in a negative situation, ask yourself how you're feeling and identify that feeling out loud. Okay, so your task for today, for day 2, is to make a list of your habitual negative thoughts. Okay, so just make a list, jot them down. So you can do that on the task sheet, and I think you can already start to do that in your workbook as well. You know, the workbook is to already get you thinking in this way. The task sheet is to really kind of develop, you know, these aspects further. So once you've made a list of your habitual negative thoughts, and you will be able to do this because you're continually asking yourself, how am I feeling? How am I feeling? What, you can even say, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? Okay. So make a list of those negative thoughts that start to become apparent to you. Or if you already know them, then just write a list. I think we have, you know, I can think of at least 3 or 4 that regularly come up for me. Now, then what I want you to do in the table, in the task sheet, is identify and write down those feelings that each one of these thoughts bring up for you. Okay? So just try and be concise, because remember, we have a thought and then a feeling attaches itself to it. The thoughts and the feelings get together to create what I like to call emotions. Okay? And then remember, you have a daily affirmation to work with. Now, we've got on day, I'm not sure which day it is because I can't remember off the top of my head, but you have a whole section, a whole training on affirmations. But I'll just quickly tell you, because you're already going to be starting with these affirmations. The affirmations are just basically, if you don't know, positive statements that you repeat to yourself. Now, we're going to go a lot further into this, but just know that you've got a positive affirmation. So when you're asking yourself how you're feeling and you're feeling it's negative and it's kind of spiraling out of control, just work with that positive affirmation. Print it out, put it somewhere visible. You can print it out several times and put them all over your home or your office or wherever you are, mainly for most of the day. Keep looking at them and just repeat them to yourself, okay? That already will help. It will already create that gap between your negative thoughts and feelings and your true self, okay? And it's going to start creating that gap between that, okay, between them. Okay, lovely. So just start by doing that, okay? So already into day 2, we have covered, you know, the fact that we have many thoughts and feelings, that a lot of them are negative. We've talked about Dr. Emoto and his work that has proven that our negative thoughts and feelings and our positive thoughts and feelings have an impact on our bodies, our physical environment, and those within the physical environment, because our thoughts and our feelings have an energy, don't they? We've talked about energy vampires and the fact that maybe it's not a good idea to spend too much time with people if we're feeling the struggle, if we're feeling negative. Okay, we've talked about how we can start to develop our awareness of our thoughts and our feelings, or our emotional landscape. Okay, and just the fact that we need to identify them, say them out loud, give them a name, and it's already going to start to create a gap within that negative cycle and break the cycle. Okay, I shall see you in the next video.